Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Orlando Magic Daily Playbook. Today I want to take a look at something that's been very much on my mind, and I'm sure has been on your mind as well as Scott Scal's mind, and that is pace. Over at Fansided for Hardwood Paroxysm, I wrote a post about how pace is up throughout the league, but pace does not necessarily mean fast breaks. Scal said the Magic's two-on-one fast breaks are still something of an adventure, so the Magic do have a lot of improvement to make in transition, but that's not stuff you can really plan out X's and O's wise. What I want to look at today is how the Magic increase their pace in the half court, and specifically one thing that they do that I think is really interesting that keeps the defense off balance and really sets them up well for shot opportunities. Let's take a look. This play from the game against the Jazz shows a little bit of what I'm talking about. You notice real fast that Shabazz Napier brings the ball up and has crossed the timeline at the 20-second mark. Now, as he goes through the play, this part isn't so fast, isn't the great pace, but here we go. Shabazz attacks off the dribble here, passes it to Vucevic. He catches on the move, and that forces Gordon Hayward, who completely loses Tobias Harris, to sink all the way in, and thus the three. Let's run that play back one more time. We'll freeze the frame on a couple interesting tidbits. As again, Shabazz Napier engages the play with about 18 seconds to go on the shot clock, and that's important when you're trying to pick up the pace. The first part of this play, the Magic are trying to set up a pick and roll and get Napier going. They have Vucevic setting up in the post. They can't quite get it to him, and the shot clock goes down. So this isn't a fantastic play to display pace. But what happens when the play begins to break down is really something that we'll see in our next clip involving the Magic's half-court offense. So Napier's immediately in scramble mode. He tries to break his man off the dribble and draws his defender up. That frees up Vucevic. Now watch what happens when Vucevic catches the ball. You can already kind of see a few things developing here. First off, Vucevic is catching the ball on the move, and this is critical. The defense is already kind of scrambling to recover from Napier, and Vucevic catching the ball on the move frees up a lot of options for him. Now, the reason this three-pointer gets made is not because of Vucevic's movement, of course. Gordon Hayward is still playing Tobias Harris as if he's on the perimeter, and Channing Frye sets a pretty good flare screen on Trey Burke to free up Harris in the corner. But this is the kind of thought that we want to see. We want to see the Magic moving as they catch the ball. So let's take a look at this clip from the game against the Raptors. I want you to watch how the players move off the ball. That's a real big key to the Magic, keeping up pace and putting stress on the defense. It's Watson's drive and then Tobias's drive that frees up the three. Let's watch this play again, and we'll highlight a few things that really put stress on the defense and what we mean by pace. Victor Oladipo's cut through the middle of the lane really put stress on the defense. The defense has to pay attention to him cutting. And that attention frees up Dwayne Dedmon. Watson then drives, and that forces Jonas Valanciunas to come up. Then Tobias drives. That forces Corey Joseph, who's already in the lane recovering from Watson, to stay where he's at. And that frees up Watson for the three. What I want to point out in this clip is how quickly the Magic react to receiving the ball. When Watson gets the ball from Dedmon here, he moves immediately toward the lane. When he passes it to Harris, Harris immediately moves and gets into the lane to free Watson up. That puts a lot of stress on the defense as they have to stay on their toes and ready at all times. So what can happen when the ball sticks? Let's take a look at this clip from the third quarter of Saturday's game against the Kings. The Magic get the ball to Tobias Harris, and A, the floor is not balanced, something that Scott Skiles is screaming from the sideline, and B, the ball gets stuck. Once Harris does get it out, though, they do find an open shooter in Elfrid Payton. In fairness to the Magic, though, this is a pick and roll designed to get Harris the ball, and the Magic are kind of stuck because the Kings switch everything. That doesn't excuse the lack of floor balance and ball movement for the Magic and their inability to get players moving and get the defense to work. So what does Tobias Harris see when he does end up getting the ball here on the pick and roll with Collison switching onto him? Well, he has the whole left side of the lane open to him, but not much else. Omri Caspi has completely abandoned his man in Elfrid Payton to cut off Harris. They're purposefully trying to cut off that player movement I talked about in the previous clip. But as you'll notice, the Magic quickly recognize this. Once Harris gets the ball to Vucevic, Payton's already begun to make that cut to the corner. DeMarcus Cousins isn't going to follow him there. Caspi's kind of playing in a zone-type read here to guard Vucevic or whoever's closest to the ball to cut off that dribble penetration. The Magic are a little late to recognize it, and Payton is the shooter that they want to give up the shot to. So good look for Payton, but ultimately exactly what Sacramento wanted. To run this play back one more time, you'll notice how little movement is involved with the off-ball players. This is a stacked floor, unbalanced floor on purpose, and the Kings completely blow it up. Tobias Harris does not go to his left and take the open space on the floor. The Magic's poor spacing leads to a difficult shot, certainly one the Kings are okay giving up. So I hope that those 3 plays illustrate exactly how the Magic try to push the pace. They want players to be in some sort of constant motion, or at least for the defense to pay attention to players off the ball. They want less one-on-one action and more getting the defense in motion so they can go drive in and dish out. In the first 2 clips that I showed you, you could kind of see how the Magic catch the ball on the move, quickening the pace of play and putting the defense under pressure to defend a player that has just caught the ball, become the ball handler, moving from the help side defender into the primary defender on the ball. Now, in that second clip was a perfect example. The Magic caught the ball, moved immediately into the lane, put pressure on the defense to collapse in, and then kicked it back out to C.J. Watson for the 3. In that last clip, you saw exactly what the Magic can get in trouble with. They don't have a lot of great one-on-one guys. And even when they do, they need good spacing in order to execute those one-on-one plays. Tobias Harris did have an open lane, have the entire left side of the floor. However, he caught the ball a little too congested in that pick and roll. It was just a poor pass on the pick and roll. Maybe if Harris is out a little bit more on the wing, he has a better chance to score. The Magic, though, did end up getting a good shot out of that play. The reason was because Elfrid Payton recognized somewhat late, but did recognize that the floor was unbalanced and moved toward the empty part of the floor. The Kings' defensive scheme allowed him to be open for much of that play because they were switching the pick and roll, and as Payton and were doing a somewhat type of zone in a lot of ways with DeMarcus Cousins as the backline guy. Cousins, because he knew the threat of Vucevic driving to the lane was still present, and even the threat of Tobias Harris driving to the lane was still present, stayed anchored in the lane, and that gave Payton the opportunity to get an open three-point look that unfortunately he did not make. As the Magic incorporate more movement into their offense, they should put more pressure on the defenders and get more open looks like that. It should also lead to potential to catch the defense in mid-rotation and open up driving lanes heading into the paint. That would allow the Magic to get into the paint, obviously, and kick back out for a 3, as we saw, but could also lead to more fouling opportunities as the defense is shifting and moving into position to guard the ball handler. Motion is key to keeping the defense off balance. I hope that this playbook post was helpful to you, understanding a little bit more about what's going on with the Magic's offense and maybe a little bit more of what the offensive philosophy is. I hope to do more of these throughout the season, and we'll catch you next time here on Orlando Magic Daily Playbook.